Welcome to Hardball Talks, everyone. We have a special one today. I hope that it serves you all well. I hope that you all share this one with your family, the athletes that are in your family. Really, I just feel grateful that we got a chance to talk with a former pro baseball player in Connor Law, talk with a current college baseball player in Jake Radosevich. And both of them have really interesting nutrition journeys. Jake was diagnosed as a diabetic in high school and had to make nutrition a really important part of his life to accomplish his goals. And Connor was so motivated, and his sophomore year of college, really wanted to take it to the next level, really wanted to get drafted, and just flipped a switch and flipped a mindset, his discipline. It was incredible to hear them share what those journeys were. Different journeys, but a lot of the same principles. And I know high school athletes, it's tough. It's tough to figure out how to manage nutrition inside of your busy lives. And I think Jake and Connor did a great job sharing strategies, sharing experiences. So I really hope that you all enjoy. Someone asked me today, they said, what's kind of the goal of Hardball Talks? And I said, really, we just want to serve people. We just want to serve the community. We want to take people's experiences that they've had in sports and life and kind of bring them to you, so that maybe, it's something that you're working on, whether it's a player or a family. And, we want Hardball Talks to be an avenue that provides you value and provides you information. So today we are going to do just that. And the topic is around nutrition, especially for high school athletes and college athletes that, have goals that they want to accomplish. Really, we have two professionals and college athletes that have been there before that are joining us to kind of talk a little bit about what their journey was. And hopefully that'll be something that you all can relate to and learn and grab a little piece of nugget from. That's our goal today. So let's just start with some introductions. I'll begin with Connor Law. And Connor, please share with the group of, who you are, where you've been, and what you're up to now.
Yeah. Like you said, my name is Connor Law. I went to Lindenwood University, which was D2 at the time, D1 now. Just had a good experience with nutrition. It helped me play advance from high school to college, and then play 5 years with the Toronto Blue Jays organization. So I couldn't say that I would have gotten that far without taking nutrition very seriously. Like I said, it just kind of got me to where I got to in pro ball. I'm no longer playing, but it got me a lot farther than a lot of people I think thought that I would have made it, and really changed my life and let me perform at the highest level that I could.
Connor, maybe just share with everybody, what are you doing now?
I am currently a financial advisor, so I work with a lot of professional baseball players, anywhere from like pre-draft to guys in the major leagues. Everybody has questions about money, and a lot of people don't know how to ask it. So me, with that experience of kind of doing a little bit of both pro ball and financial advising, I'm just kind of a good resource for those guys, kind of help them and guide them forward through their future.
Awesome. Jake Radosevich, please introduce.
I am Jake Radosevich, a current student and athlete at Lindenwood. I also play baseball here. Originally from Troy, Illinois, and I went to Triad High School and Lewis and Clark Community College. I would definitely say that I not necessarily I wanted to take my nutrition seriously, but it's more that I kind of have to, with me being a type 1 diabetic. And I've learned a lot of things throughout my now 6 years of being diagnosed, but there's definitely a lot of positives to me having my nutrition, trying to be at the highest level. There's definitely some highs and lows to trying to keep the nutrition at 100%, because I personally believe that most high school and college guys dang, I really want to go out with the guys, or dang, I really want to go to Taco Bell after the game or something like that. I've learned a lot of things throughout my experiences with high school, junior college, and now Division I baseball. It's all definitely different.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting perspective to talk about. You were some people want to figure out nutrition. You were forced to. So I think that's going to be a cool perspective to share. At the junior college level, you're at Lewis and Clark. You had good success there, right?
Yeah, no, it was great there. It was arguably one of the best decisions I've ever made. Everyone out of high school wants to be the big Division One guy, play at the highest level right at the bat, and unfortunately, I had signed to go to Lewis and Clark right before my senior year. My senior year of high school with baseball was just a little bit rough defensively, so I'm glad that I went to junior college for sure. Like I said, best decision I'll probably ever make, and my successes at junior college were really nice. Ended up being an All-American designated hitter my sophomore year.
Awesome.
And yeah, I thought it went really well.
Good. Connor, do you going back to Lindenwood? Do you give them trouble on all the Division I things that they now have?
I just heard that they don't have 6 a.m. weights anymore, and I think that's kind of some thoughts about that. But, as long as the players go out and perform, that's all I ask for. I'm always looking for them.
In the Toronto's organization, where did you end up?
I finished in AA, so that was the year after COVID. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where's that at? Buffalo?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Manchester, New Hampshire.
There you go. Do you live somewhere warmer now?
Denver. So yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thanks guys again for just providing your time today and sharing. Who are we serving here today? We're probably serving the most high school athletes, right? They are trying to figure out this nutrition thing. It's very common that they hear you need to get bigger, right? You need to get stronger. You need to get faster. They do have those goals like you were talking about, Jake, and they want to play at the next level. And the metrics of bigger, stronger, and faster are all over them, right? How much do you weigh? What's your 60? What kind of weight do you move? It's an important factor for them now more than ever. And I think also there's, some education that they need with that. So hopefully we can just lean into some of your experiences, guys, and share that with them. Let's start with kind of where you were when you were in high school. So Connor, tell us about yourself as a high school baseball player.
So this is a little interesting. I was DH4 as a right fielder. So had a pretty good arm. Didn't know how to control a throw off the mound and couldn't swing a bat. I think I graduated high school about 6'2", 150. So not a lot other than bones and skin on me. But like I said, always long tossed and had a good arm. Always took care of that for whatever reason. That was the one thing that I really enjoyed doing. Never really knew anything about nutrition or lifting or really anything like that. But I just signed with Lindenwood. They saw me at the right time when I performed well off a mound, probably like the third time in my life, honestly. And luckily enough, they kind of treated me as a project, and it went well. I always had the expectation of myself of playing college baseball. I don't think a lot of other people did, but especially being skin and bones, I just kind of had to take a look in the mirror one day and figure it out. I will say this was in college, so it was a couple of years in after my sophomore year. But high school was, I was eating all the time. I was eating whatever I wanted, and I would just never gain weight. I lifted. We had a program called Early Bird where it was a gym period for just athletes. So we would lift 2-3 times a day, or a week. But I never really understood. I'd go get some chocolate milk or a little snack afterwards, and then be good till lunch, and then go home and eat dinner at some point with some snacks in between whenever I get home and stuff. But never really paid attention to what I was eating. I was just kind of eating crap, chips all the time, crackers, Cheez-Its, love Cheez-Its. But just stuff like that, like nothing that really ever helped me out. It was just I was kind of probably bored and just eating something felt good. So, I said, whenever I started taking into consideration what I was actually eating and how it could help me, my life changed.
It's awesome. We'll dive in more to that because I know you just mentioned there was kind of a turning point, and we'll kind of figure out what that was and see if we can share that with the listeners. Jake, take us back to high school. Well, I heard you already say that you kind of were diagnosed. It must have been in high school that you were diagnosed diabetic. Take us back through that journey, and what did Jake look like back then?
Right. So, the beginning of the day one I stepped into high school, I was probably 5'8", a buck 40, and I was currently like sick at that time because I hadn't been diagnosed yet. Skip forward a month, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and from then on out, I had to learn how to keep my nutrition right, because if I didn't, there would definitely be some flaws, some major flaws throughout my body, my performance, endurance, etc. But it was more of a learning curve for me. It was definitely a big step because I saw all my buddies, everyone, hey, after lifts, let's go to the vending machine or whatever. Hey, let's go get some greasy, not good food, whatever. And for me, it made me more susceptible to change because it was just I had to focus on myself and I had to learn from others. Throughout my whole high school career, I went to a guy named Shane McBride in Collinsville at CrossFit 557, kind of by you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there, and as I learned more with nutrition, things that I didn't even know, he would always help me out. And he basically told me that it was the gram of protein per body weight.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, he forced that, he pushed that a lot. And the endurance stuff as to what we were doing, that definitely helped me out. But once I took my nutrition to a high level in high school, I definitely saw some improvements because COVID was my sophomore year, and luckily that I'm not luckily, but I wish we would have played, but we couldn't. My performance definitely would have been down because I was not doing the right things at that time that I didn't know I wasn't doing. But come my junior and senior year, I definitely found out the best things for me, and I think that's what everyone needs to find for themselves is finding the right things that work for you.
Yeah, so just let's start there, Jake. You talked about just kind of that bar that Shane said and you said of a certain level of protein that you needed to accomplish. When that was kind of brought to your attention, I'm assuming you were way under that, in the amount of protein that you were consuming. And what were some of the changes that you had to implement?
Yeah, so the changes for me included, number one, having protein in the morning. It was definitely crucial for me because throughout my day, I would eat at probably 6:45, 7 before school. And then, I mean, we wouldn't eat till 11:30, 12. And as a kid, I mean, your metabolism's kind of going a lot and you're hungry at 8 a.m. right after that. So that's how I was, at least.
Yeah.
And I would definitely try to eat the most I could in the morning before lunch, and it was fairly lean for the most part. It was either a protein shake, 2 bananas, and protein powder, or eggs, toast, and other protein rich things for my body because that's what worked for me. And then lunch was usually something big. It was either a couple chicken breasts or some steak that me and my dad cooked on the grill the night before, or something like that. I personally never ate in high school. I never really ate the cafeteria food. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't working for me because, like, at that point in time, I realized that stuff like wasn't working for me. Like, it wasn't good for me, and I definitely noticed that like there was some major changes whenever I started eating right, having protein rich, even supplements like powder before bed, especially after practices and all that as well.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Connor, let's kind of talk about that pivotal moment for you. I think you mentioned it was sophomore year of college, so a little bit later than where Jake's was, because it was sort of forced upon Jake. You had to kind of get there maybe by your own, education or somebody in your life that was helping you through that. Can you share a little bit on that with us?
Yeah. So a little bit of background. So my freshman year, I redshirted because again, like I said, I had a pretty good arm, but couldn't really control anything off the mound. And later I'll find out it was because I basically had no control over my body. Like I was, I mean, I couldn't do body weight squats without shaking. I was so skinny and weak. And at some point, I played summer ball after freshman year. Did okay. I kind of showed a little bit like I have it. It's in there somewhere. And then other outings, it would be all over the place, completely wild, no control over the pitches. So, like I said, it took me 2 years to kind of figure out why that was happening. And I just woke up one day when I got home from after the season ended. My sophomore year was fine. It was a fine year. It wasn't anything special. I think I pitched like 4 innings or so, but I was just tired of not being one of the guys. I love baseball. It was my life for so long of my life. And I just wanted to be one of the guys. I wanted to dominate, and I was tired of not. So I kind of just took it upon myself. I'm like, what do these big leaguers look like? I started paying attention to the draft. I'm like these guys are 6'4", 215. I'm like, sophomore year, I probably weighed like 170, 175. So I was like, okay, like that's like, if there's one thing I can do this summer, like I'm just going to get big. And in every instance, I took that to heart. I was also working at the time too. So I'm not saying like everyone's going to have to kind of go through what I did, but I mean, I was up at 4 a.m. Every day, or actually not every day, I apologize, 4 times a week, and then go to work after. But I'd go to 4 a.m. I mean, I love C4, love pre-workout. I mean, especially that early in the morning, like it gets me going. I'd never done it. And like, it gave me a lot of motivation to kind of get me through what I needed to do, especially that early. But I mean, I got aggressive in the weight room. Like I said, I just used that motivation of being bad at baseball. And I just used that to push myself harder and harder every day. And again, not everybody has to. Probably most people are coming from a better base than I was coming from, just because, again, I was so weak and everything like that. But I wanted to be what those draft guys were like. So I was like, I need to get to 215 and I need to do it as fast as possible. So I, again, just started becoming an animal in the weight room, and then took the nutrition like it was life or death situation. And in Jake's situation, it really was, but I kind of treated it almost the same way, where I would go, I mean, I was eating 6 to 7 times a day. I mean, I said I was eating a lot before, like during high school and stuff, but I mean, that was work. Like eating stopped being fun. It was started to be like, how bad do you want it? And I wanted it bad. Like I would force myself to eat food because, again, I needed calories. And I wanted to also make sure those calories counted. Peanut butter became like my best friend. 4, 5, 6 eggs in the morning, toast, protein shake, banana, apple, protein bars throughout the day, big lunches. There's actually one thing that one of my real good friends, childhood best friend growing up, he was in the Navy SEALs at the time. And I was talking to him about, like, he was obviously a pretty big guy, built. And so I was asking him, I'm like, what do I need to do? Like, what are some tricks to do it? And he told me about these Russian weightlifters. Said in order for them to gain weight and to gain mass, they would eat their meal, whatever it was, like they would be full, and then force themselves to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So they did it for 3 times a day. So I was like, I can do that. So I did that. And again, like I said, it became work. Like eating food stopped being like, oh, I just want to eat because it's fun. But it took a toll. Like it was hard. And like, I don't look at peanut butter jelly sandwiches the same way. I still love them, but they just bring me back a little bit.
So let's, if I kind of come back just a little bit I love how you talked about kind of the shift that you had to the mentality of the weight room. And then the shift to nutrition, like you had to go to 6 to 7 meals, you had to go to, calorie, you really talked about calorie rich food. How did you get that education, or how did you start to lay out that plan?
I will say Michael Reese at Lindenwood, he's still there running the show. He was a lot of help. He was the current baseball trainer. So that's where I got the program from. And I just asked him some tips of like, what can I do? Again, I knew eggs were always just one of the best things you could start your day with. I still eat eggs every day. The proteins, the fats, the way to start your day. Like I can noticeably tell a difference on days I do and don't have it. And it's always better when I do. A lot of it was just my own research. I just like, how can I gain mass? Protein shakes. I was 2-3 a day. I will say, shout out Chad Marshik at Body Symmetry in Springfield, Illinois. Gave me some good tips. My brother worked with him in the years prior. And he just kind of gave me, again, just some tips. I just leaned on people that knew what they were doing and be like, what can I do? And took all the knowledge that I could find and then just compiled it in what I could fix or what I could fit into my schedule. Like I said, that summer alone, like that's what changed my trajectory.
So let's talk. We've talked about two really kind of, maybe nutritional topics: calories and protein. So let's just talk about those just a little bit more. I'll open it up to either one of you. Like when you think of calories, like when you were an athlete and you were really in your nutritional sweet spot, what did you think about when you were thinking about calories?
I kind of thought the more the better. The more the better calorie wise. But for me, it was how many calories can I get in with not the least amount of carbohydrates, but just less. That's just because I was a bit like, I grew to be a bigger kid and kind of wider as I spread out towards my senior year of high school. I wasn't necessarily like lean and like 10% body fat and, big. I was just I was stocky, but just a little wider. So that was my perspective. I literally thought to myself, I was like, how many calories can I get in with not the least amount of carbohydrates, just less, but more protein?
Yeah, I would kind of say for me, it was just pure bulk. Like, how can I gain as much weight as possible and take care of my body at the same time, like making sure I'm never like tired or running low on energy. Like that food is what fuels you. So, the more food I was kind of eating, the better I felt. So I just took it from there.
And then, protein, you kind of talked a little bit about that, Jake, the 1 gram per pound of body fat or per pound of body weight. And then, I've heard you guys talking about, supplementing that protein, because you can't always get it in whole food. Can't get those type of numbers in whole food. When you thought about protein during that time, what were you focused on?
Yeah, so at the very beginning, I learned that it was extremely difficult to get by my senior year when I really started thinking about this, like 190 grams of protein a day for me was really difficult to do, and I was only eating like 4 times a day. So one, that just meant that I have to up my like how many meals I have a day during school. And then if I didn't get that required like amount by the time I went to bed, I was real big on this company, but it's the St. Louis company, First Form. Always one of these before bed, and whether it was 1 scoop, 2 scoop, however many I needed to get before bed, that's how many, even if it was 1 or 2 bottles, like I basically forced myself to just so I could feel excellent the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit I really wasn't counting protein. I, again, was just trying to consume everything. So I will say that I'd never really tracked. I tracked calories and just had like a pretty basic idea of how much I was consuming, but like carbs and fats and protein. I really didn't know. I just knew that I wanted to have protein in everything that I ate. Every snack had to have protein. Every meal had protein. I think I would use that as an excuse to eat ice cream after or right before bed every night too. So,
I heard you, Jake, kind of talk a little bit about kind of the ratio of protein and carbs, and then Connor, I heard you talk about, the balance of protein and fats inside of the eggs that you would get, those kind of macronutrients. Connor, if I'm hearing you correct, it was more of a mass thing there, not so much of understanding the equations. Maybe Jake, you had to play with those equations just a little bit. What kind of advice can you give high school guys when it comes to just understanding or trying to balance or trying to, mix the different type of macronutrients inside the food they eat?
Yeah, so I think as of what I saw some of my best friends from high school and even junior college, I think of it as like two types of guys. There's one that's like there's the skinnier guy, and he's trying to build up, like, say a freshman in high school wants to be 150 by March 1st, whenever you guys start. Um, I think that for them, it's how much can you eat in a day while consuming, the most amount of lean proteins as you can. I mean, at that point, like even my best friends, they would say, I don't care how many carbohydrates I'm eating, as long as I get the amount of protein that I need and I can eat this amount of calories in a day, that's what, I'll do. But for maybe a bigger kid, like myself, I tried to kind of make it to like a 3-to-2 ratio or a 2-to-1 ratio, like two being protein, one being carbohydrate. So if I was having 200 grams of protein a day, some days I would have 100 carbohydrates on a lesser day. Now that's different if I have weights at 6 in the morning, I have class from 7:30 to 3:30, and then a baseball practice right after. That's completely different. Then I try to maximize my output of eating throughout the whole entire day. Because that's how it was in high school too. Like in high school, we didn't necessarily have lifts in the morning, but we had school, then practice, and then like I would get with Sam even sometimes, Miss Coach Weber, and we would catch bullpens after school and practice. And there's gaps and times in between, school, practice, whatever you're doing, to where if you need to get what you like, if you need to eat something to maximize your output, that's how I kind of thought about it.
That's great. That's great. Connor, anything to add on to kind of how the balance of those macronutrients?
Not really that, but I will add like protein bars and protein shakes are going to be your best friend. Like just like you said, like right after school, you got to run to practice. Like a protein bar before that will help out tremendously. Like just finding little times and consuming something that's got good protein in it, and it might have a little bit of calories in it, but like right before practice, that's definitely a good thing. It can be your best friend, and it keeps your energy up, so you get a little bit more out of that practice. So yeah. That's one thing.
So, just in talking to high school athletes, I mean, there's some hurdles, right? And I think you guys started to allude to those hurdles. I mean, some hurdles it's not easy to eat during the day. Whether, may have some classes where they're not allowed to have food or drink in it, they have big breaks, where they can't be near food or something during the time. I guess for me, when I'm talking to high school athletes, like it needs to be an intentional, planned out thing to eat. And I love kind of the way you said that. Like, I mean, it was an intentional job. Like you weren't just eating when you were hungry. I mean, you had 6 to 7 meals planned out. Give some advice or kind of talk through that for the high school athletes.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'd go work out in the morning, and then come home, eat, and then go to work. But I had alarms set on my phone if I was eating at 8 or 7, I would have an alarm for 10, for noon, for 3 or 4, and then dinner, and then a snack after that. Like I was on a schedule, and I never once got off it. if anything, I probably had more than I was supposed to. But I mean, I had to do what I had to do, and so I just took that to heart. Again, it just takes that discipline. Like, I have to eat this food, and there's nothing else. There's no way around it. Like, nothing. Like, again, comes down to just like, how bad do you want it? And
Yeah, and I think that is part of the challenge, is that a lot of high school athletes, they're eating in a reactionary state, right? They get up and it's like, are they late? Okay, well, if I'm late, then I'm going to eat less, or I'm going to grab a Pop-Tart or something on the go, and then I'm going to go to lunch and see what they have at the cafeteria, see what I like, and get that, and then, oh crud, I forgot I have practice, so I can't eat till dinner at home. Like, you can't gain doing that. Is that fair to say?
yeah,
What, Jake, you had to be planned out, it sounded like. I mean, you were, even in your long days, or if you're bringing steak to lunch at a high school, then I know you got to be planned out. How was that the night before? Was that did you meal prep on the weekends? What did you do?
Yeah, so usually, well, my uncle, he has the barbecue business. He has a barbecue business, and my whole dad's side of my family was kind of big. They were big connoisseurs for like eating the right stuff usually, and trying to eat the right stuff. But I kind of I didn't really get into meal prepping kind of like my junior year of high school. But for that, at that time, I thought it was like too late, honestly, because I always think about like, if I would have done this and ate at this time and then ate at that time, like when I was supposed to, like, oh man, where could I be now, quote unquote, kind of thing. But it's not necessarily that deep. But anyway, yeah, it was simple. I would meal prep. My breakfast the day, if we're talking about a week, I would it was chicken and steak on the grill or smoker on Sunday nights, and then that would kind of be like a family thing. Or I would have my breakfast laid out. I'd usually have like 7 to 8 meals just sitting in the fridge, and then I would force myself for those to be gone just by at minimum Tuesday. It was a lot to do, but for me, it was kind of like a survival thing, honestly. Like, how good do you want to be, and how I'm trying to think of the best way to say this, but the best I could have been is what I put in my body, like my maximum output, and like, oh dang, I've taken 500 swings in the day, but if I would have done this and ate this right before practice or something, I would have had the boost of energy and like to stay an hour after and do some extra work. Like, that's what it really comes down to, I believe.
Yeah. Connor, what during that time when you were really bulking up, I mean, how planned out were you?
During the week, I mean, everything was scheduled out. I will say, for like the weekend, would change a little bit. I didn't have to work. The workouts were lighter. I mean, during the week, though, like I said, it was that rigorous schedule. Everything was planned.
Did you have everything? Did you have it all packed? Was it all packed with you when you went to work?
Yeah, everything was stocked the week before. I will say I didn't really meal prep anything. A lot of leftovers, like my mom was always cooking, so that was a really big benefit for me. So I always had kind of food just there for me. But like the protein bars and everything like that I was coming to work every day with a lunchbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's something that, I kind of try to encourage the guys on, is they need to go to high school with a lunchbox. They need to have their lunchbox stocked, have their protein powder stocked, and, throughout their day, kind of like you're saying, in between classes or certain times. Jake, you never ate at school, you said, so you had a lunchbox, right? It's not the dorky thing to do, right? Tell them.
No, absolutely not. No, I really no. I mean, yeah. I like bringing my own stuff. I liked having the right stuff in me, so it was good for me.
Mm-hmm. If you showed up to high school every day instead of the mystery meat Monday, you're having steak. I mean, I would have been jealous.
Right? Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm not having the Sodexo spicy chicken sandwich every day.
Right. Let's just, before we skip on, I want to talk a little bit about lifting and routines, because obviously your nutrition, your intentionality around your nutrition has to be matched with an intentionality of lifting and, those type of routines. But before I skip over to that, what about hydration? Talk just maybe, in when was hydration something that you really focused on, and how do you try to stay consistent with that?
Yeah, so how I kind of think about it is a gallon. That's just what I've been taught. That's what all of my coaches have told me in the past. It does kind of differentiate for like games though. With me being a catcher, in baseball, I mean, it's kind of, it's a little different. So if we say we were to have a game at 4, we had a game this past Friday at 4. Um, I'm getting that gallon in before 4 o'clock. Not necessarily for like if it's summer ball and I know people are going down to Georgia, Florida, playing at 9:30 in the morning. I think it's a little different then. It's basically just as much. For me, it was how much water can I put in my body before that game, and just to try to stay like functioning correctly. Obviously, not cramping. I've done the liquid IVs. I think they help, and hydration sticks. I think those definitely help. I use them before and after games, just so the cramping isn't really involved or anything. But yeah.
Connor?
I will say that I was really late on the hydration. I mean, I had a gallon that I'd have in college just kind of around the house, but I probably would drink it in 3 days or so. Water fountain here and there, and then water at practice and everything. But it wasn't really until I got with the Blue Jays and they had nutritionists checking on our hydration. I mean, 2-3 times a week. We were in Florida again, like you said, those 9:30. I mean, we were practicing 7 o'clock in the morning, games at noon. I mean, it was awful if you weren't drinking water. So that's when I really started taking it serious. Pedialyte before the liquid IV craze took over, but we were drinking Pedialyte and water. Like I was probably putting down 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons at points in Florida. I mean, and honestly, I think that's what helped me stay healthy for so much longer. I think I got hurt one time in my 5 years with the Blue Jays, and it was just because I was an idiot in the weight room. So yeah, I think water keeps you on the field, and I mean that's the best ability you can have.
That's a good little nugget there. Thank you for that. All right, so we're talking nutrition, but we need to kind of just also make sure that our output of energy and what we're getting in the weight room matches that. Jake, before I'll go to Connor here in a minute and talk about because I know his workout regimen really spiked up there. He mentioned earlier. Jake, what about you? I mean, what was your focus while you were focusing on your nutrition? How were you improving in the weight room as well?
Yeah, so I'll go through high school, junior college, and now. But in high school, Sam Weber kind of set the standard pretty high. I mean, he showed me what guys like Connor and Jeff Hartley and Hayden Yanger, all of them do in the weight room. And it was really motivating for me. But the biggest thing I got out of it was how strong can I be with having incredible mobility? How big can I be with, being as flexible as possible? I think that's a big thing that guys in high school don't really tend to comprehend. And it's something I didn't comprehend either until, my senior and freshman year of junior college. It's something I just didn't get. I thought it was always, how much can I bench? How much can I squat? How much can I deadlift? But now, you're seeing guys with programs that, a lot of mobility work, a lot of, flexibility stuff. And I think that's really vital and important for especially high school guys now.
It's awesome. Connor, dive in a little bit more on the weight room. You were ramping it up. You talked about that. Give us a little bit more.
Yeah. So, that's kind of why I would eat so much, is just to make sure that I was building that muscle on top of muscle. Every time you work out, you obviously are tearing these little fibers, and the only way to get them back is a little bit of rest and protein. But yeah, like I kind of developed that meathead mindset of like, I just need to go lift as much weight as possible. But as Jake said, like, it's crazy. When I got in the Blue Jays, I don't think I saw any big leaguer in there trying to, especially during season, but like no big leaguers were in there maxing out on any workouts. They're doing everything. Like, they're going to keep their strength. They're trying to maintain, but like the big thing for them is they have to be flexible. They have to be mobile, because if you can't move, you can't play. Like, if you're stuck in a position because you're too bulky, you're too tight or whatever, you can't do your job. And so there was one guy that I met in the weight room that just talked about, he saw me going kind of hard in the weight room because, again, I was fresh in there, so I was like, oh, I got to impress everybody. And this guy's like, yo, I see what you're doing, but like, I'm gonna let you know, like, as you get older, if you want to keep playing, like, you got to be able to move still. Like, I don't do anything. He said, this is him, but he's like, I don't do anything that causes me strain on my neck. He said, that's how I know I'm starting pushing myself too far during the season. That you want to try to train explosiveness and everything, perfect for the off season. You got time to rest. You're not playing in games. He said, but during season, like, you got to take care of your body. You got to listen to your body. And then the off season's is really the time to like get after it.
What about kind of the discipline? The discipline, the mentality. I heard you talk about, Connor, that switch kind of flipped. When you were watching those pro guys and you kind of figured out what it was going to take to get to that spot. How did your discipline take over? Is that something that you thought about or really had to kind of keep focused on?
I mean, the discipline to me was just getting up every day and doing it. It's nobody wants to get up and be like, oh man, I got to go squat 300 pounds at 4:30 in the morning. Like I was doing, it was, like I said, it's just nobody wants to do that. And again, like, you just kind of look in the mirror and said, okay, this is what you signed up for. Like, we're going. Like, there's no, like, you can complain about it, but we're going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jake, share with us a little bit about your discipline.
Yeah, I think it was more the same in Connor's situation. I mean, it was really just doing it. A little background. Me and my buddies during our after our junior season, we're doing 75 hard in the fall before our senior spring, and I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I didn't think anything of it until I actually started doing it, and like the discipline of like everything I had to do. It was the gallon, the read, and baseball practice didn't count as an actual practice, so we all walked together and all of that. And seeing the results of kind of what we did, that was what the discipline was for, seeing that result. And I think a lot of people are scared, they're like, oh, I don't really want to go to the gym today or something like that, or go do this and this for baseball, but they haven't seen the results yet, so they don't trust themselves enough yet to try to get to where they need to be. I've heard a lot of people say that, and I kind of just thought it was BS for the longest time, but until I actually saw it, and I did that, and I realized I saw the results, and even if they were minimal, I mean, I was, this much slimmer and this much bigger, and I was hitting the ball this much harder. Like, it was cool seeing those small results, but I really dove big into it at my junior college, because at junior college it is for me, and my buddy who's actually rooming with me right now. It was, we have to get to the next place no matter what. We're not going somewhere bad no matter what. I mean, yes, after junior college, there's a place for everyone, which there is, but we were just trying to get to the best place we possibly could. And that was where the discipline came in.
That's awesome. Well, let's kind of wrap this up. Let's think about, maybe you guys can just share, some final thoughts. Speak, what if you were thinking about doing it all over again in high school? Maybe you could give some, perspective from that. But talk to the audience, high school athletes. What do you want to conclude and tell them?
Yeah, so for high school guys, I've said this before, but if I were to go back and do it all over again, it would all come down to my head, what I was thinking about in my head. I was reading a book one day and I came across it, and it was actually a book that Sam Weber given me after high school. In the book, it said, you don't have to be the best, just be significant. And the meaning of that really dove deep into my skin. And I started thinking, I was like, so what does this really mean? Because as a kid, you always want to be the best. Like I said earlier, you always want to go to the best school. You always want to play after school. You want to play after high school, whatever. But I think it really comes down to the thoughts inside your head, the discipline, the motivation, the seeing results, but you have to do the work to see those results. I mean, you have to have the discipline to be your best at baseball practice, and you have to give the max amount of effort every single day, because high school especially flies by just like that. For me at least. And even at my 2 years of junior college, man, it flew by. I mean, you're playing a game every single day in junior college for the most part. And in high school, it's school, homework, practice, or a game. You just try to make the most out of it. You have to be disciplined with your nutrition no matter what. And I think it's crucial for everyone, especially high school athletes.
That's awesome, Jake. Yeah, that's really good stuff, man. Thank you. Connor, give him some lasting advice.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think the biggest thing that just earn your off days. You want to go to Taco Bell, fine. Don't make it a habit. Go every once in a while. Like I love Taco Bell, so you just got to earn it. But just take care of your business before you do anything else. That's the first and foremost thing. Like, you want to take a day off, you want to go spend a weekend and kind of not really focus on it. You got to earn it. Like, everything's a reward for your hard work. So that, and I would say sleep is your best friend. Sleep is more important than anybody can kind of realize, especially in high school. Like, I thought I could just live off of 6 hours of sleep. I mean, 7, 8, 9, if you can get it, like, your body's going to change for the better in every single way. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole nother topic we could dive in on you guys in recovery, because I heard you guys talking about that sleep and IVs and all that good stuff. So, all right, guys. Well, hey, I know we have some common friends, so let's give them a shout out. So we got introduced through from Jeff Hartlieb and Sam Weber. If you guys want to give them a little shout out or say a little positive about either one of them.
Yeah, I would say, shout out Sam Weber, shout out Jeff Hartley. Two people that I'm really close with. Just saw Jeff here the other day at our Lindenwood Golf Scramble, and Coach Weber, I mean, arguably the best. Anyone that will ever work with him will say he's the best. He dives deep, into not just the baseball, but like you said earlier, the kind of person he is. Luckily, as a high school guy, I was mature enough to realize like how much he genuinely cares about each person, not just their baseball performance, but their life in general. And I would say those are two of the best that you're dealing with.
Yeah, so it helped me when I was a little bit lost baseball wise. And yeah, I have nothing but the best things to say for him. He knows his stuff. He knows what he's doing. You just got to trust the process, and he's going to get you where you want to go. And something I'll say about Jeff is I've got bigger calves than he does.
I thought that one might be a little bit of sass might come out there. I thought, yeah, we were offline kind of talking about those two guys, and the thing that I would just say, and I appreciate them introducing us. And again, they love to serve athletes, and this is an avenue to doing that. And I love coaches. I love people with hearts. When their heart is people first, athletes first, whatever you want to say, like that's where it is. Those are the right people to be around, and I'm grateful that God kind of crossed paths with those two men in my life. So, y'all, thank you so very much, man. Connor, Jake, you guys are awesome. What a fruitful discussion, and I know there'll be a lot of young athletes that'll listen and take notes, and and hopefully, start putting some of those strategies to action. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, that was Hardball Talk. So thank you for listening. Subscribe, all the usual channels. And we like to put out podcasts that serve and provide information that you might find beneficial. So please keep coming back. Take care.